non-Muslim with the respectful clothing can come enter the mosque and enjoy while being quiet and respectful to the visitor. And the same is for the synagogue and the church. All the doors are open. Yes.
Continues to head into divisions and destruction, the world's answers to these problems is on the horizon. A one-world religion with all the beliefs of the world coming together united in peace and safety. The Abrahamic Family House in Abu Dhabi is nearing completion. This religious center is being built to unite the three religions of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, a place where the three religions who have their origin story tied to Abraham will be united in creating a one-world religion, a religion that ultimately will be ran by the Antichrist as the head of it. And for those who don't believe in religion, the contact that will be publicly made with aliens will help to bring those who need to see to believe. The religious center will house the St. Francis of Assisi Church, Imam Al-Tayeb Mosque, and Moses Ben Mimam Synagogue. The project completion rate was 20% as of June 2021 and is set to open in 2022. This lines up perfectly with what we are seeing worldwide. A call to align and to be united on every front as one people and one belief system, especially in the Western world. A call to end climate change, a call to end racism, or the last common phrase we all heard recently that was placarded all over people's Facebook profiles, it takes all of us. This is lining up exactly with how it's supposed to be with the end times unity that will be required for the Antichrist to take complete control of the world. Revelation 13:7-8, referencing the Antichrist, the first beast, Also, it was allowed to make war on the saints and to conquer them, and authority was given it over every tribe and people and language and nation, and all who dwell on the earth will worship it. Everyone whose name has not been written before the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb who was slain. The beast will demand full control and full worship, and the second beast, the false prophet, will be his enforcer and deceiver to bring all into this one world unity of deception. Revelation 13:11-18, the second beast. Then I saw another beast rising out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercises all the authority of the first beast in its presence, and makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed. It performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of people. And by the signs that it's allowed to work in the presence of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on earth, telling them to make an image of the beast that was wounded by the sword, and yet lived. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak, and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. Also, it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or on the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. The one world unity of religion through the false belief that God is the God of all religions is what's being set up. But what about the people who don't believe in God? We see the one world religion being set up, but how will the Antichrist deceive the large number of people who don't believe in God or who don't follow Abrahamic religions such as Christianity, Islam, or Judaism? By performing false signs and false miracles. As mentioned in Revelation 13, the Antichrist will receive a deadly head wound and then through a satanic miracle be healed. Then the false prophet will perform signs such as calling down fire and giving breath to an image of the Antichrist. I believe some of these deceptions will include the satanic communion with aliens. It's undeniable that UFOs and other worldly crafts and beings are existing in our time and space. It's openly admitted by military officials in the most powerful nation of the world. Think of all the people who reject God and the truth of the Bible. What God do they follow? Science. The false god of following science, and everything anyone who claims to be a doctor or scientist says is the new false god of the people who reject the Father. These people who blindly trust anything that's said on the TV or their favorite mainstream media website will be crying with excitement when the extraterrestrial from another planet arrives, validating their belief in evolution and their pride in the false fact that the Bible is false and made up, because where in it does it describe these beings and their savior? Even more so, the demonic fallen entities could have false proof, even falsified videos broadcasted worldwide on how they terraformed Earth to have all this water, created human beings, and even created the religions of the world. Such a deception would cause anyone who is not a true believer in Jesus Christ to become even violent, demanding the death of those who reject these entities' demonic proof of our existence. Revelation 13:8-10 describes such a time and people who demand the death of those who don't worship and follow the first beast, the Antichrist. And all who dwell on the earth will worship it, everyone whose name has not been written before the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb who was slain. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. If anyone is to be taken captive, to captivity he goes. If anyone is to be slain with the sword must he be slain. Here is a call for the endurance and faith of the saints. What we are seeing now is a setting up period. This cannot happen overnight, but what we are seeing is all the pieces being moved into place. The beginning of sorrows as mentioned by Jesus in Matthew 24. Unity is the cry of the people, even when it flies in the face of what we know to be true. Judaism is the origin story of Christianity, the years and build-up to the Messiah. From Genesis to Malachi, what's told is the coming Savior, Jesus Christ, the Son of God. The Jewish people today reject Jesus Christ as the Messiah, even though him alone could have fulfilled the prophecies. Messiah had to come before the destruction of the Second Temple. The temple was destroyed in 70 AD, so it's impossible for another these days to be the Messiah. Yet they still are expecting one. The beliefs of Islam in the Quran were written hundreds of years after the last biblical text, the Book of Revelation. It's extremely clear to see that many of the stories in the Quran are plagiarized from biblical texts. Jesus himself is even in the Quran, but Muhammad chose to make up his own stories about him, leading to the creation of the Islamic religion, who believes and violently proclaims that Jesus is not one with God or the Son of God. One of Islam's most holy sites, Al-Aqsa Mosque, even says on the writing on it, God has no son. A verse from the Quran, Surah, verse 17, 111. The fact that Jesus is denied as the Messiah and the Son of God by Judaism and Islam are the two qualifiers that the Bible and God demand we follow in order to be saved. 1 John 5:10. The one who believes in the Son of God has the testimony in himself. The one who does not believe God has made him a liar, because he has not believed in the testimony that God has given concerning his Son. The one factor that would make us part of one family and in perfect unity is the one factor that both Judaism and Islam reject about Christianity. It only makes sense that the coming enemy goes by the title Antichrist. It's the same thing that every other person of the world who doesn't follow Jesus believes, whether of a different religion or a follower of scientism. Their number one factor they all share in common is being anti-Christ. We are seeing it all around us. The Antichrist systems and beliefs are being spread all throughout the earth, and at the same time we are seeing God's true followers become more bold, and miracles and great salvations are taking place all across the earth. God wins at the end of the day, and Christians aren't supposed to be fearful during these times. We have a great glory and eternal peace to look forward to. God will guide and deliver us through all the coming trials and tribulations. As Christians, the goal is unity, but unity under Jesus Christ, with him as the head and us as the body. Two passages that are fitting here are Matthew 5:46 through 47 and Matthew 9:37 through 38, because just as we were once lost in the world and its deceptions, so are the people who have yet to receive Jesus the Son of God as their Savior, and they are desperately in need of him, and we are called to bring his truth and good news to them. Matthew 5:46 through 47, if you love only those who love you, what reward is there for that? Even corrupt tax collectors do that. If you are kind only to your friends, how are you different from anyone else? Even pagans do that. And Matthew 9:37 through 38, then he said to his disciples, the harvest truly is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore pray the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest. And I'll leave you with a verse of encouragement from the mouth of Jesus Christ, the Messiah, the Son of God. Now when these things begin to happen, look up and lift up your heads, because your redemption draws near. Thanks for watching, and God bless.
Hi, I'm Sarah Forster and welcome to this week's episode of A Closer Look. This week, myself and a few colleagues came down to the Abrahamic Family House. It's home to a church, a mosque and a synagogue. To find out more about these fascinating buildings, we're going to speak to our reporter, 𝙄𝙇𝙇𝙐𝙈. So I'm back in the office now with our reporter, 𝙄𝙇𝙇𝙐𝙈, who was down there with me at the Abrahamic Family House. Thank you for coming inside.
Pleasure to be here.
So we're going to start with, I think, the main question, which some of our viewers might not know the answer to, which is, what are these three buildings doing so close together, so unified in their design, you know, all part of the one Abrahamic family house? Kind of, can you tell us why these buildings even exist?
Well, I think the key word there that you mentioned was family. This is a building really that, you know, that celebrates the shared values that the three Abrahamic faiths have. And by the three Abrahamic faiths, we're talking about Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. So this is a building that shares, that looks at and explores and celebrates the common things that that these three influential faiths have in the world today. And if you really look at this story, it might begin like this just happened just last week, but the story of the Abrahamic Family House really goes back to 2019. It was the year that was dubbed the Year of Tolerance by the UAE authorities, and within that time, what did we see? We've seen the historical visit of Pope Francis, you know, to the UAE. You know, we've seen a number of interfaith initiatives taking place. We've seen leaders of the Jewish faith coming to the UAE, the announcement of the synagogue. So all of this really is a story that began 3 years ago, and this is essentially the magnificent final product of these amazing and really historical discussions.
Yeah, it's definitely been in the works for a while. These buildings didn't just pop out of nowhere. But we were both there yesterday, and I'll tell you what I think my favorite bit was, but I just wanted to know what struck you the most being there, because it's a very special place to be. It's not like, you know, anywhere else I've been here in the UAE. There's a real serenity to it, but like what aspect did you enjoy the most?
What I was really struck by, I mean, I thought the first challenge was, how do you blend, these values aesthetically, culturally, in various ways within one building. And this is really, I feel, where the British Ghanaian architect, Sir David 𝙄𝙇𝙇𝙐, has done a brilliant job. What really struck me was how austere, was how minimal it is. This is a place for reflection. There's not a lot of so-called bells and whistles there. From the welcome center, which is like a really elegant minimal space, which also doubles up as an event center, to hold conferences, discussions, and exhibitions, to the garden, which has over 200 plants locally sourced. And it's a lot of space, it's a lot of silence, and I think it really sets the right tone to go on this journey of reverence. And the way that it's all linked together, it's meant for you not to just go to the mosque, to the church, to the synagogue. It's meant for you to easily, navigate between different faiths and perhaps learn, glean some interesting insights along the way.
It is definitely an educational resource, isn't it? Because like you say, you don't just go to one, it's for people to go. Visitors are welcome from the 1st of March, which is Wednesday, and visitors can go to each building and learn about it. It's free to go unless you want a tour, which is paid. And I would almost recommend the tour, because when we went, my favorite part was the detail, the attention to detail as you go around. It's not just that, the mosque, it does face Mecca and the synagogue faces Jerusalem. It's the reason why there are a certain amount of pillars, or it's the reason why this pillar is slightly higher than this pillar. It's those little details that I found really fascinating. So much thought went into the designs. And one thing that I found really fascinating was to see, so the church is predominantly a Catholic church, right? But obviously anyone of any denomination can go. But I don't know if you've been to a Catholic church before, but they are ornate. Like, that's the whole deal of the Catholic churches, is there's like lots of paintings and carvings and everything. So to see a Catholic church this minimalistic was really quite striking.
That's the same way that I felt also about the mosque. It is also very minimal in design. A key feature of mosques that I've seen really everywhere around the world is that it's defined by this, very ornate chandeliers, which serve a practical purpose, which is to light the prayer hall. But in the Abrahamic Family House, there is no chandelier. Mm-hmm. Instead, what you have is really subtle but powerful spotlights up on the roof. And the roof also is quite curved, and that also allows the sound to reverberate much easier in the prayer hall. If you remember, when we were going on that tour, our tour guide in the mosque spoke in such a slow voice, and the sound carried. And again, it is these things like this, just these removals, of unnecessary, things. Even the way that the books are placed, just elegantly within the walls. It takes away any disturbances, any distractions, and that really will, I felt already this is a perfect place for contemplation and reflection.
I mean, even he specifically mentioned, even the air conditioners are hidden. Like, you won't see the AC units, and because it's as you say, it's just yet another distraction, right?
Yeah, and even even within the carpets, right? The lines that allows the people to stand in prayer together are engraved within the carpet in a very subtle way. So so even the carpet, it looks quite uniform. Yeah. There's no streaks, that we see a lot in other mosques as well. It's really elegant.
So I think we can agree that where the Abrahamic Family House really stands out is detail, attention to detail, and that's why you won't just pop down there for 5 minutes. You'll be there for a while, really kind of noticing all the special little parts. I know you've written on our website, thenationalnews.com, you've written basically a visitor's guide, what it's like to go down there, what people need to know. Can you give us a little bit of a synopsis here now? If someone watching this wants to go and visit, what's the deal? What do they need to know?
So the Abrahamic Family House is open to all worshippers now. So you can go there right now, and practice your faith and experience this wonderful facility. In terms of going there on tours or just the general visit, that's going to begin from March the 1st, which is next week. And always check out the Abrahamic Family House's website. All new programs, all new initiatives will be uploaded on that, as well as the social media channels.
Mm-hmm. Great. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Saeed.
An absolute pleasure.
Great. Thank you. So that's it for this week's episode of A Closer Look on the Abrahamic Family House, brought to you from right here in the newsroom. Remember, if you want to catch our previous episodes, you can find them all on the YouTube channel. And if you have any suggestions for future episodes, you can drop them in the comment box below.